Hello, what is going on, everybody? I'm Jaythestingray back here again with another live stream. Have some guests with me tonight. Some friends I've known on YouTube for quite a while now, and yeah, Rob from the RetroCak channel and Robin from Karatepopcorn. What's going on, guys?
Hey,
What's
how's it
up?
going?
Good. Good. Well, thanks for joining me. I was telling the guys in the green room before the show that I don't think I've ever actually talked to Robin before, and you know, other than just chats on the internet. So
No, this
Nor
is
have
our
I.
first time.
very cool, very cool. And I met you through DVD Collector in 1974, one of the OG originals of the Sausage Factory many moons ago. So yeah,
That was what,
very
10
cool
years
to have you.
ago?
It's close to it if it hasn't been 10 already.
Yeah.
And the show where I also met Rob, I believe, was the Sausage Factory. So former member, hope to be on sometime soon again.
Well, got to get that contract situation straight. So,
We're working on it. We're working.
inflation, man, inflation. Okay.
We got the lawyers. They're trying to
Yeah,
type
and
something up.
actually, I came across Rob in speaking of OG Sausage Factory, B Junior. He was kind of the first guy in the community I was watching, and I want to say Pizal and Robin were like two of the first people I kind of streamed, flowed to from him.
Yeah,
So it's been a while.
yeah, man. It's a lot's
The,
changed in that period of time, but
yeah.
people have come and gone, but you guys have stuck around.
Do you remember this,
Oh,
Robin?
Are
If
you
I could
kidding
get it.
me?
This was like
No.
your 25th or 50th sub giveaway right here.
You know
oh
what?
wow.
I was looking at some old videos of giveaways, and when my younger boy was picking out the winners, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I totally forgot. That's what we gave you. Oh my goodness."
Yep. And it's
Wow.
not open because, it's a little too highbrow for me this time.
That's a great movie, which I'm sure it's
Yeah,
probably
it
coming out
is.
on 4K if it hasn't already. Seems like everything's coming out on 4K now. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
but yeah, Robin, what's your kind of introduction to this whole YouTube game? I know you've been around for a little while, and I don't think I
Yeah.
know your origin story there.
Well, you know what? I've been into movies and into collecting since I was young, VHS and stuff like that. And about 10 or so years ago, my older boy, was talking about YouTube. And I'm like, well, tell me about it. What's going on? Do people talk about movies on there? And he's like, yeah, people talk about everything. So I was like, okay. So I started watching some channels and I was like, well, all right, maybe I'll give it a try. And really, that's kind of where I started. I'm like, well, if I get like 30 subs, that would be awesome.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that's kind of how it started.
Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of similar with everybody. I think I originally got on here with my movie poster collection. It's kind of I don't know if you're familiar with Dead Pit, but that's
Mhm.
really one of the things that got me started on here. I know Rob, you're probably familiar with those guys.
No, yeah.
They they were showing off their movie poster collections with some of the one of the Canadian guys. I said he called a moot, so they started doing some videos, and I was like, cool, I'll get in on this. And it's, some of the other folks in the community got in, and yeah, I've met a lot of folks over there that I still am pretty good friends with today. So pretty cool stuff. It's how I met Pizal. It's how I met a lot of the original Sausage Factory guys that kind of got this whole ball rolling. Um, but yeah, yeah, good stuff. It's been a while. A lot of folks have come and gone. The community was kind of different. I don't know if you feel the same way. It was really kind of a like a close knit community back then when everything
It did
first got
seem a
started.
lot closer back then. And
Hmm.
then I don't know what changed. It was pre-COVID, but it just seemed like it wasn't as personal anymore.
Hmm. Hmm. And I mean, you mentioned COVID. A lot of guys that I've met since have become really good friends during that period of time because a a lot of people were unemployed or couldn't work, or working from home, whatever. And we would just basically stay up and stream, late night every night. So
Yeah.
still friends with a lot of those guys as well. So fun stuff, man. It's really, the technology really brings us together. I haven't met a lot of these people in real life yet, hopefully one day, but, yeah, it's really cool. We're all across the country and the world. So
It is pretty
Yeah.
cool connecting with other people because, for especially growing up, it's like, do other people do this? Am I the only weirdo who like collects movies and,
Yeah.
talks about them so much? But it turns out there's a ton of us out there.
Oh yeah. Ton of people out there, and a lot of people that have, for whatever reason have left, or, it's like everything on the internet. There's people that, aren't always as supportive as some others. So, a lot of people aren't cool with that, and I get it. So they just cut bait and run, I guess. But yeah, fun times. So Rob, I know you're not really as much of a movie guy as Robin and I probably are, but
Right.
so what, you're mainly video games? Is that how you would say it?
Yeah. By and large, that's what I do is video games. Just a little bit about my story, not that you asked, but
Yeah, absolutely, go for it.
oh, it's not a good
Sorry.
story. Don't get your hopes
All right,
up.
please excuse me.
But no, what was funny is, I had all these video games and I had this new bonus room, and I was trying to figure out how to do it. And so I just was, YouTube was a thing you just went to look at cat videos and, maybe how to do things. And I typed in man cave, and that brought up B Junior's movie cave. And I remember telling one of my coworkers, I said, this guy kind of reminds me of me, except movies instead of video games. And I just kind of kept watching him. And like I said, that's where I kind of, got to watching Pizzal and Robin.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through a little spell when I started a channel in the early aughts, I guess you call it. It was movies. I kind of did the movie thing, but it just slowly, something happened, and I'd collected video games for years before, and then I went into movies, and then, like I said, I just kind of slid back into video games, and that's where I'm at right now. And you guys talk about, finding like people. I mean,
Right.
finding people my age into video game collecting is, that's not easy. So, but I really love this community, and I've always been drawn to the horror community and the movie community in general. And yeah, like I said, it's fun. And I caught a bunch of movies I'd missed, when I was hardcore into it, but I need to get back to watching more movies.
Yeah, really, really cool communities there. Lots of really like-minded, cool folks. But that's an expensive hobby, especially now.
Oh yeah, it's impossible now. I mean, I'm glad I started it and did the majority of it when I did, because there's no way I could get close to what I have. It's crazy what's happened. Used to, you could take a flyer on a game. You say, well, you could find games $5 to $20 all day long, old games. Now, minimum you're going to spend is probably $50. So, just kind of takes a little bit of the sting out of it. You just got to kind of be a little pickier.
Well, you got in kind of on the ground floor on that stuff, so.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, when I started, I remember I couldn't find any information on it, and it was early 2000s. I always thought I would do it, but I never really initiated it. And then a friend of mine, we started talking about light gun games, and so all of a sudden he came in and he said, "Oh man, I picked up all the Dreamcast light gun games," and I was like, and internet shopping was still a little new at the time, and so I said, "Well, I don't have a Dreamcast, but I have a Saturn. I'm gonna pick up the gun games for there," and starting that process is what just blew it all up, because I opened up to so many new avenues and games, and before long it was out of control. Mm. Now I live in this arcade here, so it's gotten out of hand.
Yeah, I see you got some nice consoles behind you.
Yeah, right.
Rob, I have a question.
Absolutely.
Okay, is it almost impossible to find video games for like a decent price in the wild now. Just going out and finding a real treasure video game for $5 or something.
It's getting harder and harder. Back in the day, I had a lot of luck at like pawn shops and yard sales. I see on Twitter a lot of people allegedly have a lot of luck at yard sales. I don't really do it anymore, but I would say thrift stores are probably your best bet. Is you're still going to find one every once in a while, but it's gotten so much harder because everybody kind of has heard, and the hobby's so big now. Yeah. And now anybody can pop something on eBay from their phone. So yeah, it's a lot harder than it used to be. A lot harder.
You don't see a lot of the my grandson moved out or whatever, and I have this collection. Even they're on like eBay looking, whoa, I can make a little more money off of this. Dollar's too cheap.
Oh yeah.
So but yeah, that's because I don't know about you, but I got started in the same thing with the Angry Video Game Nerd was the guy that really set it off for me. The Angry Nintendo Nerd, I think he was originally, and he kind of
I believe so,
expand that out a little bit. Yeah. But those guys and a lot of the offshoots of his stuff, and
so that's what
I got in a little bit early, to collecting the retro stuff. Yeah, I've always been into games, but I think I have my original NES around here somewhere, but I don't even know if it works. I went through a phase when I was a kid where I would take stuff apart and then put it back together, not always in the right way. So yeah, so I don't know if it works, but I think it's around here somewhere. But yeah, I got some of that stuff. Like you got the Saturn, man. That's probably worth a pretty penny these days, I would imagine.
The games are it was probably the most expensive system to collect for when I started, and like for it, I always go to Panzer Dragoons. One game called Panzer Dragoon Saga. It was like the ultimate American game, and it was like 160 usually. And I think I found it for like 130 on eBay because my intention was to collect all the U.S. Saturn games. That game now is going for about $1,000. So,
oh, goodness.
Yeah, the Saturn is nuts. It's nuts. Games are hundreds of dollars.
Right.
So
I never owned a Saturn. I quit after I did the Genesis. I was a Sega guy after the original NES. I went thanks to my cousin. He was a Sega guy. He got me into Sega. So I went NES. Then I skipped the Super Nintendo, went to Genesis instead. And then I went to the Sega CD. And then, life changed a little bit around that time. I kind of lost interest until right around after college. And, got back into things, I think, with a PlayStation 2.
Okay.
And then a Xbox and kind of went from there. But always been a big gamer my whole life. Started with the Atari 2600 when I was, just in diapers. And my brother and sister, they're older. They still hate me today for this. I apparently threw up all over the Atari and ruined it when I was a baby. So they still give me stuff for that around the.
So maybe you weren't such a big fan, huh?
Apparently not. I mean,
we didn't have Atari growing up, but we did have Intellivision.
Okay.
The one where you put the little thing in the controller. It was fun.
Yeah. I hate those controllers. That disc on them. Oh, I can't stand it. Yeah, I had an Atari. As far as when I was a kid, I had an Atari. We got it like Christmas in about '83. I've kind of tried to figure it out. I don't know the dates, but trying to guess by the circumstances. And then I got a Nintendo, and then a year later I got a Master System, and then after that a Genesis and a Saturn. And then I got out of it because I was in college and kind of doing all that stuff. And,
same.
And then the Xbox was the one that kind of got me back into it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's so weird how things like that work. Because I was very similar to that. I was fairly young, and I don't know why, but my parents got me a Nintendo. It was only out in America for a year or two at that point. Mm-hmm. I remember my mom playing that thing more than I did. She was all about Mario Brothers. We got the classic Duck Hunt Mario Brothers. Same tape with the the light gun. And man, I never really saw her play games after that, but she really loved that Mario. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, my mom played Miss Pac-Man on the 2600 and never saw her play a game again. So that was her thing. She got that for me for my birthday one year, and I have my doubts who that present was really for. So.
Still to this day, my favorite game is the arcade Centipede with the trackball.
Okay, with the
Oh,
ball.
I love Centipede.
Sweet, that's a hard game.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are a lot of always a lot of fun. That and like Galaga stuff like that. The old and of course you said Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. Those are always still a lot of fun. You still see some of those from the old the old pizzerias where you can actually go in. We don't have a lot of those anymore here, but go in, get you some greasy pizza and go play some.
The sit down one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right. We got a question from the chat here. Sega handheld, which I would imagine Rob has had at least a few of those.
I mean, I had the Game Gear. I got the Game Gear that one Christmas when it came out, and
I had the Game Gear.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? Uh-huh.
You had to take a loan out to buy the batteries for the thing.
I had this gigantic
8, right?
pack.
8 double A's? Yeah.
I believe so.
Jeez.
6 or 8. It was off. I had this battery pack that was about this big and weighed about 20 pounds. So, but yeah, I never did really like it that much. It seemed like a step back because it was based on like the Master System tech. And I'd had a Atari Lynx, which was a lot more powerful. And so it's kind of felt like a step back. But I love it now. I can play them on my TV with my analog Mega SG, and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, I wish I had gotten a Lynx back in those days. I remember seeing them, but
what year was the Lynx about?
In 89. It came out a few months after the Game Boy, which was 1989.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember I was just telling my mom about it and like, oh, the Game Boy's so hard to see. And, it would just make life so much easier if I had this Atari Lynx. And, hey, it worked.
See, kids will never understand that struggle, man, because you could never play it in the dark. They sold like little lights that attached to the thing. They'd have a little magnifying glass.
I forgot about that, the thing that went over it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't play the Lynx in the light, and you couldn't play the Game Boy in the dark. So
oh, wow.
Pick your poison.
Yeah.
I have a question. You brought up kids. Do your kids care at all about your physical media collection?
Mine do not.
Yeah.
My son thinks it's kind of neat, but I don't know. His friends are kind of amazed.
Yeah, my boys could care less. They're like, if it's not on streaming,
right.
I'm like, honey, just come in here. The Blu-ray's right here. Well, I can't watch it it's just not there.
Yeah,
it's weird.
My daughter wanted to watch the Garfield Spider-Man movies last week, and we couldn't find the second one free on streaming. And I was like, well, I have the Blu-ray. And the look on her face was, the old fart in church thing. Yeah. And I was like, we're just putting a disc. She did not want any part of it. Mm-mm. It seemed gross to her. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, it's made me really lazy too. Like sometimes I won't even like walk up here to get a movie. If it's streaming somewhere, I don't have to pay for it. I'm like, there it is. It's good enough. But, you can't blame them. I mean, it is really convenient to just push a button and there it is.
No, plus I think with my younger one especially, he likes to stream movies with his friends so they can all watch it together. Okay. And so I'm like, all right, whatever.
What are they talking to each other somehow, texting or chatting online or something?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool. So they do like watch-alongs.
Yeah. Yeah, so he'll just bring it up on whatever Voodoo, and then somehow like can stream it to the other ones, and then they talk. I think through Discord. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that's another thing. Like actual, gosh, I forget the terminology. When you're in the same room playing a 2-player game, you know, whatever that's called now, you know,
Couch
it's
co-op.
very, very rare. Yeah. Co-op or even like a fighting game or
Yeah.
something, you know, where you're just, you know, anything where you're in the same room, which I really think adds a lot to that experience. Like I remember, man, my friends, you know, some I still have to this day, like we'd have some knockdown dragouts over some, you know, sports games or, you know, GoldenEye or something like that, man. It would be. And then even in college, you know, I had a friend that he actually had a Saturn, and we'd play a lot of that stuff. Played a lot of PlayStation in the, you know, dorm rooms and stuff. But good times, which, you know, it's nice to be able to play with people, you know, that are miles and miles away. But I feel like actually having that physical connection in the same room really does add to the experience. I know I sound like an old man shouting at the sky saying that now, but you know, it is different. You know, it's nice to have the, you know, conveniences we have, but you know, kind of miss the old days a little bit too.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, but especially over COVID, like that's how like him and his buddies all figured out how to do that, and they became so like tech savvy, and they're like, well, they just see no reason to get together when they can just do everything over the internet.
Sure. And I get that. That's, you know, probably an appropriate time where, you know, if your friend's sick or whatever, you can still hang out, you know, don't have to worry about, you know, all that good stuff. But anyway, I won't go down that road. We've all had enough talk about that in our life. But yeah, going back into film, this is an old buddy of the channel, Brian Trash. He's talking about, you know, he talks to people online, you know, on YouTube and stuff, because a lot of people in his real life aren't really into films like he is. And definitely for me, you know, I'm, you know, really into horror films. I'm into a lot of stuff, but you know, I like horror films, probably my favorite. And you know, you talk to people in real life, they're, you know, real life, God, that, you know, they kind of look at you a little weird. You know, I remember I was selling my old house, and I had a little Nest cam hooked up, just, you know, trying to make sure nobody stole anything. And, you know, I had my horror room set up in the back. They're like, man, this guy, man, does he worship the devil or something like that? I mean, and I didn't have anything crazy, you know? So it's kind of the, you know, looks you get when you say I'm into horror films or whatever, but you can kind of find your little niche group, you know, online.
Robin, could I ask you a question? That brings me to
please.
something. Yeah. Now, when you started, you were not a horror fan. As I recall, you were kind of like, that's not my thing, you know. And you developed a love for it. You know, what brought that on, and how'd that come about?
Great question.
Yeah, you know, so growing up, I was just afraid. I was afraid of horror films. Like they really freaked me out. So I'd only seen a couple. I saw Poltergeist and I think Nightmare on Elm Street. But I was like, okay, well, it's probably about time. I'm an adult now. So I'm like, let me start watching these one by one and kind of knock them off.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they're not so bad. They're kind of pretty fun. So that's
Cool.
kind of where that came from.
Okay.
But there's still some horror movies that just aren't for me. Like I don't like a lot of the blood and guts ones.
That's same
But
here.
it's cool, you know. I'm more of like you know, supernatural or like ghost stories, stuff like that.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I grew up watching the Friday the 13th movies, and then in my early 20s, we were always going. We were watching the Screams and the Ring and all those movies. But I just never. I just one day said, you know, I don't find it entertaining to watch people, you know, pretend to get killed, and you know, and that kind of got me away from it for a while. But I've tried to dip my toe back in, and yeah, some of them are fun. I'm like you. I'm not big into the gore. but I do enjoy, like, the Nightmare on Elm Streets and A Town That Dreaded Sundown, some of those kind of movies. And I'd like to watch more. I even thought that somebody could have even a thing called, the 40-year-old virgin, where they make me watch horror movies for the first time and
That's funny.
put me through the torture of that. But yeah, I was just wondering, because I remember you were like the movie person I watched that wasn't into it, and then you kind of gravitated that direction.
And it was really fun because, when I kind of put it out there that I wasn't into horror movies, I didn't know like how the movie community would kind of react to that. I didn't know if they would poo-poo it,
Right.
but everyone was so supportive. They were like, "Okay, start with this. Don't watch this yet. Watch this." It was awesome. It's been a great community. You always have the people who are kind of butt heads, and that's fine. But for the most part, everyone's just really supportive and nice.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Have you guys watch Stranger Things at all?
I just started season. Me and my son are watching season 1, and we've got one more
See,
episode to go in season 1. So I just
I just did the
started
same
this week.
thing with my wife and kids. I'd seen the first season. I think maybe the
Okay.
first episode of the second season. We watched it all and just finished it, earlier this week. But no spoilers or anything. But there's a Metallica song, and towards the end of season 4 that you probably already seen. It's been all over social media and stuff. But really great song. But a lot of younger kids are getting into Metallica because of that. And a lot of people are like, "Oh man, why Metallica's been around," but it's kind of like the way I was when I got into horror movies. It's like, well, you got to start somewhere. It's like if that's what the jumping off point is, go for it, man. I support the heck out of that. Like, if whatever gets you into that, you can't get on a high horse about what you've seen, what you haven't seen, because there's always new people coming in that take them under your wing instead of trying to pump yourself up like you're something special. But kind of feel the same way about movies sometimes.
Yeah, no, season 4 it was good. It was really good. I thought there were a couple things they could have done a little different at the end, but for the most part, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll spare my thoughts since Rob hasn't watched it yet. But, yeah, check it out, man. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, my son. It's great because my son isn't into anything scary and stuff like that. And this is we never watch anything together, so it's just been cool. He wanted to see it, and my wife said, "Hey, you guys." She's seen the first 3 seasons. She said, "You guys get that done, and we'll all watch season 4 together." So it's been really cool watching it with him. He gets really up close to me during those those key moments. So. But yeah, I'm loving it so far. Season 1 has been tight. I mean, just like I said, all those shows kind of start out that way, and then when the writers are like, "Oh crap, we got to do more seasons," the shows tend to get a little weaker. But yeah, I'm really loving it so far.
It's going to be wild when whenever they start shooting season 5, because that was pre-COVID. When they shot season 4, so it took them this long to get it, the position where they can release it or whatever. Those kids are going to be like in their 20s, by the time this thing comes out, and they were what, 13, something like that when they started this thing. So,
I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why they took it out of the high school environment for the most part, because those older kids, I mean, they look like they're in their 30s now.
I think some of them may be close to it. Yeah.
Gosh.
Like, Nancy and Steve.
Yeah, like that whole group. I'm like, ooh, yeah, they're older.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to talk about it so bad, but I'm not going to.
Would you like me to leave for a little while
No,
and you just call me back?
Cool. It's a lot of little comments I want to make, but it'll not necessarily spoilers. But
I'm not even like I'm not even like Googling what the kids look like now. That's how I'm trying to stay away from it. But hey, like I said, I can bow out for a minute.
The main kid, Mike, is I guess you'd call him the main kid, the one who found 11 or whatever at the beginning of the season one. He's been in so much stuff. Like, I like him, but it's like he was in the It movies, and then he was in the new Ghostbusters movie, Afterlife, and I feel like he's done even more than that. I just feel like I've seen him so much since, and I'm just kind of tired of seeing him and everything. But
You're over him. Kind of like the star of Game of Thrones, how she kind of started popping up in everything there for a while.
Oh yeah,
And even
all
Sarah
those people.
Connor, for heaven's sakes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I wish those kids the best, because it's going to be so hard to break out of that. Oh, well, it's a Stranger Kids thing, to continue with their acting. Because every time, and it's not fair, but every time I see Millie Bobby Brown, I'm like, oh, it's the Stranger Things girl.
It's kind of hard not to say it, to think that, but
yeah,
she was in, was it Godzilla versus Kong? Is
yeah.
that the one she was in? I don't know. She was in one of those Godzilla movies.
The last two, I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've seen a few things with her in it that she does a fine job. Yeah, I mean, child stars. It's always hard to jump to that next level. To go from a child star to an adult actress has got to be difficult.
And I think you could almost go from season 1 of Stranger Things straight to season 4. I mean, there's a few things in between, but they kind of cover it in season 4. They catch you up.
I'm enjoying the ride so far. So.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, my wife had a week off work, and we kind of just marathon the whole thing. So my kid, I'm telling you, my kids, like I didn't push horror films on them by any means, because I know how kids are, and if my parents did that to me, I would have rebelled against that and said I don't want to see this ever again. So they kind of approached me, and started them off, with Hocus Pocus, stuff like that, and slowly work them up, and they're just like, this isn't scary. And we're getting to the point now where it's like, look, this scared me in the theater like a year ago, so we're gonna have to find something else. I'm gonna have to step it up, because I'm out of ideas. Like, I mean, I'm about to have to put on The Exorcist or something, and the gloves are coming off, but yeah, well, but no, they're really into it.
Nice.
What do you guys think of the Munsters trailer? That's about it. Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of the show. I was an Addams Family guy, but
Okay.
I think he's going for that cheap, kitschy look, but I mean it looked unwatchable to me. I mean, if I'm being honest.
I'll watch it. I'm a fan of the guy, and so I just wish he'd stop putting his wife in everything. That's my biggest complaint, I think.
It's a rough trailer. Like, I think the Munsters is going to be a hard sell anyways, because there's only a small percentage of people who remember the Munsters. So it's like, okay, well, let's introduce them, and I don't know. I don't think that was the trailer to do it.
Yeah, I don't really know. It just makes you wonder, like, is there a market for that, really? But, I've been wrong before many times, so I guess we'll see.
I asked my younger one, I'm like, because he's going to be 17. And since this one's going to be PG, I'm like, are you interested in this at all? Because he doesn't know who the Munsters are. I'm like, is that something you would watch? He's like, no. He's like, I don't really care.
Yeah, it seems like it's always I like the Addams Family more. You hear a lot of that lately. I like both. When I was, I was a kid, it was all, they're always in syndication somewhere.
Right. See, I didn't have cable growing up, and the Munsters were always on those channels I couldn't see. So, but TBS had the Addams Family, so I got to see those.
And then I saw it's going straight to Netflix.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think they announced it today, maybe.
Not surprised. It seems to be the model a lot of things are using now. Is just probably not a bad idea with that one. I
No,
don't know.
that's gonna be. Could you imagine that being released in the theaters?
Again, I get the name recognition thing, right? That's kind of the. I was watching an old interview with John Carpenter earlier today, talking about Rob Zombie's Halloween when it came out, and he was talking about how that's kind of like built-in marketing. You don't really have to spend a whole ton of money on marketing because you watched it with your sibling on video cassette, back when you were a child, or you saw it on television or whatever. Whatever the connection was. So you're like, oh, I'll go check this out. But with Monsters, I mean, I don't even know if people, the average Joe would even know what that is.
But I hope it does well, because like we were kind of talking about before, maybe someone watches the Munsters and is like, well, it's kind of a horror themed show. Let me go see what else is out there. Maybe that leads to something else. And that kind of leads to them becoming a horror fan. Who knows?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Stranger things have happened. No pun intended.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't go down that road. Oh, Fred Gwynn. Rest in peace. Did you guys see the Pet Sematary remake? Or whatever remake, sequel, whatever they want to call it. The newer movie a few years ago.
Yeah.
It was John Lithgow took over for that role. I thought he did a pretty good job. I always liked him.
The movie was but John Lithgow was good.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of it?
I was about the same. I didn't particularly like the movie itself, but yeah, I liked him. Did you ever watch Dexter at all?
Yes, but I didn't watch the like that latest season they did.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet either. I'm going to. But... Yeah, John Lithgow was in season 3, maybe the Trinity Killer. Really, really great season. Probably one of my favorite seasons of television I've ever seen.
He's just a good actor, and that was a great season.
Yeah, I know him from like Cliffhanger. I know he was the bad guy in Cliffhanger. He plays a great bad guy. And one of the Brian De Palma movies. Dang it, I always forget the name of it. But yeah, one of those right after Dress to Kill. Late 80s, early 90s, something like that. But he was great in that as well.
And of course, Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh yes, how could
Love
I forget?
And Daddy's Home too.
I missed that one.
Oh, you haven't seen Daddy's Home too?
No.
Oh, that's funny.
It's not
You see
bad.
the first one?
Yes.
Okay.
I will check out the second one.
Yeah, it's nothing groundbreaking, but it's a good time.
Yeah, they really play it up. I think a great comedic actor, of course. Third Rock from the Sun was a great show.
Was TBS the channel that always started like 5 minutes after?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they started that trend.
So what? They were just everything started at 5 minutes after the hour.
Mm-hmm. Get more commercials in, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I don't
everything's
think
like
I was ever
8:05.
aware of that.
Yeah, the Braves games always started at 7:35 or 8:05, and yep, that was TBS.
Yeah.
Wow.
Billionaire Ted.
I was like, oh, Mama's Family. I got 5 more minutes till it starts.
Oh man, Mama's Family. Jeez, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love sitcoms. I used to watch, still do watch a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, I grew up with some of that stuff. We eventually got cable, and we got WGN, and that's Chicago's channel. So had a lot of Bozo the Clown, and a lot of Braves or not Braves, but
Cubs.
like White Cubs, I guess White Sox too. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. They showed a lot of good horror movies on there, and like kung fu style movies back in the 80s. Like I remember Saturdays they would do like movie marathons. I watched a lot of stuff on there. Fun stuff.
Jay,
Kind of where
I
I
love
got my start.
I love your background because it looks like you're like on the board of supervisors.
Yeah.
Like you're
But
the
I had
city
somebody
council.
saying to me saying to me the other day how they like how there's another chair right next to me that's the same. There's 4 of these. These are theater chairs. This is kind of like my theater room. So I know it kind of looks stupid, but
No, it doesn't. Every time
know.
I see it, I'm like, oh, he's on the city council.
I did have a green screen up. I finally took it down the other day and making some changes in here. But I would, I'd be in the Oval Office sometimes. I'd be in jail. I'd be in, I'd be in Compton sometimes, just hanging out. So yeah, I'd be all over
Wasn't
the
there like a
place.
McDonald's or Taco Bell behind you?
Yeah, I think both. I really had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I had to
Making
do
some
this.
changes.
I had to do this because the room's kind of a mess right now. So this is just kind of camouflage right here.
It looks good.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of folks that like they may be in like a small room. They don't really have a lot of room to spread out, so they can put the green screen up and it doesn't, they don't air all their dirty laundry for everyone to see.
Oh.
I guess sometimes, maybe literally. Tony Schiavone. I'm not sure who that is.
Oh, Tony Schiavone. He was a WCW wrestling announcer.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess I'll take that as a compliment. I've been told I look like a lot worse, so
Yeah, I've been given some good stuff and some bad stuff before.
Now, Rob, are you going to watch Aliens this year? Is that on your agenda? I just want to know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the movies I haven't seen would blow. Let's see, just to give you an idea, last summer was when I watched Jaws for the first time.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's fun.
Ironically, I was in Florida, and me and my son just were in the hotel room, and I pulled it up on the phone, and we just watched it. And that was the first time I'd ever seen Jaws. But yeah, I want to see it. I want to watch the trilogy. But yeah, it's on my to-do list.
Nice.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead and watch all 4. I think it'd be good. Maybe do a Cruel Jaws after that. You can
talking
look
about
for
that.
the bootleg Hulk Hogan.
What I wanted to do, and I started it, and then I got sidetracked. Was I was going to watch who else you guys don't get to do this. I was going to watch the original Texas Chainsaw for the first time, and then watch the Netflix reboot. And I got pulled away from it, and I haven't went back. But I was really digging it. So.
That's an amazing movie.
But yeah, I was going to get to have that little 2-step. I thought it'd be kind of neat to get to watch them back to back, both for the first time.
Did you see the newer film on Netflix?
I know. Like I said, I was going to watch the original. Okay. The only Texas Chainsaw I've seen is the remake with Jessica Biel. I saw that in theaters. That's the only one I've ever watched. And that's kind of what I remember about it was, Jessica Biel. So
it was kind of on the tip end of the remake trend. That was one of the first big ones.
Yeah, and it was good. Yeah. And I remember seeing the trailer, the little teaser for it before Freddy versus Jason, and the theater went nuts when that trailer. It was I believe it was just a black screen with you heard like running footsteps, and then you heard the chainsaw crank up, and everybody went nuts. So I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to see this.
Well, yeah, man, I'm kind of envious of that, and or wish I could go back and watch some of these movies for the first time. But yeah,
Oh yeah,
you've got some good ones to watch, apparently.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I've seen
Cool.
one Nightmare on Elm Street movie, so so yeah, I've got a lot of great stuff I could check out, and I own. The crazy thing is, I own 99% of these movies I haven't seen. So
Yeah, I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first time maybe like 5 years ago.
Mhm.
And that was one of the ones where I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle this before it started. Like I psyched myself out.
Right.
But
Uh-huh.
a lot of it is just left to your own imagination. But by the time that movie came to an end, I almost had an anxiety attack because it gets so claustrophobic by the time you get to the end. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is nuts. But it's good. It's really good.
Oh yeah. Sweet. Yeah, I
A lot of
definitely wanna
people.
go back to it.
Yeah, man, it's one of my favorites, all time favorites of all genres. Love it so much, and it it hits that spot so well because it's not a gory movie. If you go back and watch it, it cuts before all the gore. But people that remember it, they're like, "Oh man, it was so gory. It was blood everywhere." It's just so well done, and all the actors and actresses do such a great job that it's really speaks to how good it is when people remember it for having all this stuff that it didn't have in it. Because it was one of those taboo movies around the time, from what I understand.
I remember as a kid, I was at the ballpark, and this other classmate, I guess I was probably 10 or 11, and he was telling me he had seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What he was describing, I later realized, was the movie Pieces. He told me the ending, which the famous ending of Pieces. He thought he was watching Texas Chainsaw, but it was only
So,
later listening to you guys. I was like, wait a minute.
so you've seen Pieces then?
No, I
Oh,
haven't.
okay.
That scene,
Uh,
was you guys were talking about it, and I was like, wait a minute, this guy was telling me that was Texas Chainsaw, so I had a totally different movie in my head for the longest on Texas Chainsaw.
yeah, there was a lot of word of mouth stuff back in those days before,
Yeah, there's
obviously before the internet. Yeah,
no internet, home video wasn't even a big thing there when I was
yeah.
real young.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when video stores started popping up everywhere, for heaven's sakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like in those days, I don't know why, I would always rent some of the sequels before I saw the original. So, like my memories of Halloween and, I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I saw probably Leatherface before I saw the original, and Friday the 13th, I saw definitely one of the sequels before I saw the original.
Oh yeah.
And, just a different time. And I think it was 86 when we got our first VCR, right around in there somewhere. And I know my uncle let us borrow one. He was in town for some reason, let us borrow, I don't know why he had it with him, but let us borrow one. And the first tape I ever rented was My Pet Monster, the live action movie. I don't know if you guys remember it was a stuffed animal.
I remember the toy,
chains
yeah.
on it. Mm-hmm. So that was my very first VHS rental, was that. And then, actually, I don't think I can reach it, but Baby, the little dinosaur movie. You probably remember the VHS box if you haven't seen it. I've got the big box up here, but I'll need a ladder to get to it. But that was one of my early ones as well. But we did that, and then we rented a VCR, which sounds like such an archaic thing now. We rented the player a few times, and then finally, I don't know if it was a holiday or whatever, my parents finally got us one for the house, because comparatively, man, that would have been a few $1,000s now, I would imagine.
They were expensive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Better quality too than stuff you get now. They were the top loaders, they were solid, metal, good construction. Again, that's the old man in me coming out.
Oh yeah, remember how heavy those things were?
Yeah. Back in my day,
Well, remember, and then the early ones had the plug-in remotes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something people would not understand these days.
No.
Oh yeah, we one of our first one is probably about 86, 87, but we had to since it was the antenna, not cable, you had to actually individually go into the channels and
Oh yeah.
row a little white dial, because we had one forever and we couldn't record it. No one could record on it. So, but one night I finally figured it out, and so that's when we could finally tape things for the first time.
I know it was you could switch between channel 3 and 4 on the VCR, I believe. And then you had to put the TV on the same channel, or I forget exactly how it worked, but yeah, you had to dial it in just right before it would work.
Good times.
The what was the things that had the prongs on it? You had to like screw the prongs in on the
Oh,
back
yeah,
of the
you put them in
television.
the screw and then make sure it was in
Yes, yes.
properly. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I hated
Preceded
those
the
things.
coax. Yeah, they would break off. Oh,
Yeah.
and my dad got mad every time I would want to unhook and hook something. You're gonna tear it up, and he was right. They would tear up. So,
Yeah.
but oh yeah, and the signal was garbage. So,
Yes.
but yeah, I remember the RF get a butter.
Yeah.
I think me and
Yeah.
Robin were talking about that. Somebody said, "Did you use a screwdriver or a but? Do you remember using a screwdriver?" I said, "It was usually a butter knife because you couldn't find it. We used a flathead butter knife to do that."
And then, like, when I finally figured out how to like dub from one VCR to another VCR, that was fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was when you were really in it. When you were really in, you could rent a movie for, $3 or whatever it was, and then you could, now I can watch it whenever I want.
Yeah,
And
that was
of course
amazing.
it's, SLP, the worst quality available. That's quantity over quality was what it was all about with me. So.
I give it 3 movies on here. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Those were better times.
Once again, they'll never understand the struggle.
No. Having to wait for a movie to rewind if it wasn't rewound. I mean, come on. They can't wait 10 seconds for something to load. And I'm the same way now,
Yeah.
Holy crap.
But man,
5
I remember my
seconds.
dad would talk about the radio days, and I was like, wow, so you just listen to things. I couldn't wrap my head around that. And his dad was, sold appliances for a little while when he was a kid. So they wound up getting a television relatively early just because, he probably got a discount or whatever. But, good stuff.
I never knew
Time's really
anyone.
flying by, guys. So yeah, any questions in the chat? Please feel free to drop those.
What do you guys think about the prices of VHS tapes just going crazy?
It's like everything else,
You name it.
what's like, we call them records. They're vinyl now. Those are through the roof as well. I guess it's just the collectors drive the price up, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's when I started trying to catch up on movies. You could go get like 50 cents a tape, and I'd kind of load up. And I kind of threw most of them away. I think over time, after I started going to Blu-ray and DVD and HD DVD, of course. But yeah, it's hard. But people collect everything. I guess there's probably people out there collecting audio cassettes, for all I know.
That'll be next. That'll be the next big thing, and then DVDs will probably come back.
Did you
If they ever
collect? You
leave.
said HD DVD. You collected those?
Yeah. If you ever get really bored and go back and check out my channel, Laserdisc, not to the extent of Christian with Laserdisc, but HD DVD, I was crazy for that. I have several imports, and like I have a French Rambo trilogy on HD DVD, and I have some German
Oh, wow.
HD DVDs. Yeah, I have I have hundreds of HD DVDs, probably. I mean, maybe a couple hundred. But yeah, that's kind of where I went, because being a game guy, I love dead formats and oddities like that.
Sure.
And and what started it is I bought an HD DVD drive for the 360 before I had a
Right.
360. And
Oh,
so
wow.
I just started picking up movies, and I picked up a couple of players along the way. But yeah, HD DVDs are a big part of my collection.
Wow, that's cool. And you probably got a good price on a lot of those, huh?
Yeah, they, well, at first I was a little excited. I kind of was buying them new on Amazon, and I was overpaying, but before long I started finding them like McKay's bookstores, and you
Right.
could just load up a stack for $50. I mean, you could have 30 of them. And then on eBay, I started finding prices. I've got a copy of The Fog. I think it's German on HD. I think Lauren kind of
Wow.
wants that. He's wants that because he's got The Fog on like every format. But yeah, that's how I watched some of these movies for the first time, was HD.
Was it not region locked at all?
No,
That
HD
format?
DVDs were
Really?
not. They never were. But now the drawback of them is, I think Jonathan has spoke to that, is they degrade. I've had more than a few that were factory sealed that won't play.
Oh,
And then there was
Laser rot, right?
yes,
Kind
and the
Similar to what
Michael,
happened with some laser discs.
and there was the movie The Island, the old Michael Bay movie, which I actually
yeah.
like. No one likes that movie, but I really like that movie. I tried 3 different times. I bought 2 German and 1 French copy. It wasn't released in the U.S. Trying to get that thing, and none of the 3 would work. I mean, they glitch out. They start playing, but then they glitch and lock up. But so that's kind of what got me out of it. I'd probably
Sure.
still be trying to get everything, but I have I have a ton of stuff, a ton of HDs.
what? I don't remember. What was the reason that HD died off? Is it the same thing like VHS, where like the porn went with VHS, so that became the popular one, or?
Well, not really, because porn actually sided with HD DVD, because Sony, yeah, Sony was being very selective with who they gave their development kits to, and they would not, provide. So porn actually went HD DVD. I
Huh.
guess it was just the PlayStation 3. I guess it was. It kind of got Blu-ray out there, and the movie studios went that direction. And I guess once Disney went Blu-ray, it was pretty much over.
Huh.
But I remember they
Yeah.
said the final straw was Warner Brothers was doing HD and Blu-ray, but they knew that, hey, if we switch to Blu-ray, we don't have to worry about HD anymore. So yeah, and I remember Universal was really big on HD DVD, which I can't believe they didn't do Flash Gordon on HD DVD. That hurts my heart. I would love to have that. But yeah, Universal, Paramount, Warner Brothers, they all did a lot with HD. But
Okay.
yeah, I guess it was just a matter of the PlayStation and the studios, kind of picking their horse.
Yeah, I guess Sony. Someone mentioned Betamax, so I guess Sony maybe learned their lesson.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why exactly. If anybody knows why they won, I'm not even sure.
But they are superior, like I said. HD DVDs are way too fragile.
I was right on the cusp because, like I said, I was an Xbox guy at the time, so I was, getting ready to make the switch, and I think like I heard the news like right before I was going to get into HD DVD that Sony won the wars. So thankfully I didn't.
Well, if you need a player, let me know. I've got extras, like a standalone players, not 360s.
Wow.
I believe I have 3 Toshiba. Toshiba is the only company that released them, and I have 3, and I could have had a 4th one that was like, it had to be the first one they did. It was so big and bulky, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't buy it. But yeah, I picked up about 3. If you could find them, they were $15-$20 at most. And yeah, I think I have 3 of them.
Wow. Well, yeah, hold on to those. I'm sure those are only going to go up in value.
I mean, they're not making any more, that's for sure.
We talked about Laserdisc, and I immediately thought of Christian because he's got such a huge collection that
Yes.
He kind of got in like right when people were getting rid of their stuff. You know, they just give it away, and you get it for nothing, and then the collectors got into it. So I was always on the late end of all this stuff, of the collecting. So I didn't really ever get good deals on stuff.
I wish I'd have went into
Story of my life.
Laserdiscs. I just kind of tried to find stuff in the wild. I never went online and tried to procure stuff. I even bought a big handful of Laserdiscs from Robin one time. She had picked up a bunch at a thrift store, and she ridiculously marked them up and sold them to me. So I have a capitalist swine. But yeah, so see, I've got a Blu-ray, I've got Laserdisc. I'm telling you, I'm a fan.
So how did you two meet? I don't think I know that story.
Well, as far as like I said, B Junior referenced her. I want to say he might. I don't know if he did a video response to her or just said something about her VHS. And I went and looked at Robin, and you had I believe it was a VHS pickup video. And I just, I enjoyed her, and I watched her and commented, and of course she was always super nice and responsive, and like I said, I just kind of always been a fan of hers, and and then social media, Twitter, that kind of stuff. Sure. We just always swapped barbs back and forth.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. Maybe it was B Junior then where I met you through. I'm not sure.
Does B Junior do anything on YouTube anymore?
Every once in a while, it's like once every couple of years, he'll throw up the odd video like of him going to Spirit Halloween or drinking a beer, or listening to a record, and he's never on camera, but it's his videos. But it's incredibly rare. Probably like I said, 2 or 3 in the last 5 or 6 years.
He's pretty active on TikTok.
Oh.
You can go find him on there, which I'm not a huge fan of that format, but I do follow some people.
Avoid that platform, but
it's not all children dancing, just to let you know. There's other stuff besides that.
There's old people dancing too.
Well, there's that too. He's been doing his sit-up challenges and push-up challenges for I believe it's to help suicide awareness with the vets. I think it's why he's been doing that on he used to puts it on Instagram and on TikTok. Yeah, real cool guy. I'd love to get back in touch with him if he ever has the time. B Junior, if you're out there.
Remember when we used to do video responses?
Oh yeah, I love those. I loved them.
Yeah,
they were fun. Awesome.
It was so engaging with the community. It was. I've got my channels full of them still. As cringy as they are, they're still up there. I was going through my old channel the other day trying to find something. I don't remember what I was looking for, but I came across one of B Junior's videos, and apparently I sent him my old DVD of Videodrome, which I don't even remember doing that, but yeah. Weird stuff. We do all kinds of crazy stuff back then.
Yeah, we watched with my younger boy. We watched Alien Covenant again. Oh, yeah. When we watched it the first time, I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, this is all right." But then rewatching, I was like, "Oh no. No.
That one really hurt me.
I liked Prometheus well enough, but
it was, I don't know. I felt like Ridley Scott was really trying to maybe just on people's impression of Prometheus, which I was fine with Prometheus. I actually liked the movie quite a bit. I've got the Blu-ray. It was kind of when he forced it down our throats that the two worlds are combined is kind of what got to me. Which, now he's... This is not a spoiler, I don't think, Rob, if you haven't seen any of these movies, but he's combining Blade Runner and Alien in the same world, right? Essentially is what I've heard is going on, because the androids and the Alien films go on to become replicants in Blade Runner films, which I mean, I guess I'm fine with that, but it just seems a little forced to me. And I did not like Alien Covenant at all. But yeah, you guys familiar with A24 films at all? Dan has a question there.
For me, who wants to start? For me, The Witch, or that's A24, right? The Witch.
Mm-hmm.
Love that movie. Good gosh, that was intense and just, yeah, loved it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it like all of the A24s, but my favorite is Hereditary.
That's a good one.
I love Hereditary. I still think about that movie every once in a while. Like that one stuck with me.
Hereditary. I gotta watch that.
Oh yeah, that one's good. But The Witch was great.
Oh, I love The Witch. Freaking love it.
I think I may have to agree with you. I'm gonna go with The Witch, and I try to watch pretty much everything they do, even the lesser known stuff. I have a great track record with me.
Now, did they do Saint Maud? Was that A24?
Don't believe so. I could be wrong though.
Okay, I have no idea. I wasn't sure.
They've done a lot of stuff recently. They've become a little more prolific, so it's kind of hard for me to keep up with them as much. But yeah, we were having a discussion somewhere, may have been on Region Free, that is the name A24 kind of people immediately hear that and think it's going to be pretentious or something like that. Think like, oh, that's not for me because it's too heady or however you want to look at it. You guys believe that at all? Like, you think the general public may feel like that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think they make more quality films than a lot of other studios, but no.
If they elevated horror, I mean, isn't that what a lot of people are starving for? I know Lauren is. So,
is that the term they used in the new Scream movie? Or wait, no. She had another word that she referred to him as.
Midsummer. That was just a one-time watch.
That's a rough one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a rough one. Have you guys seen The Northman? You seen that one, Rob?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, that was good.
Is
Yeah.
Is that horror?
No, more action. Okay. Action
it's
drama.
It's like Vikings.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be really historically accurate. At least that's what they were trying to do. Nicole Kidman.
Okay.
Is it Alexander Skarsgård? I know one of the older Skarsgård brother, guy from like True Blood and stuff.
Yeah, it amazes me. Robin will post like what she's watched over the last 2 weeks, and it's more movies than I watch in 5 years. It's insane. I want to know how many hours are in the day in California. Cause
we have more over there. No, you know what though? My movie watching is usually from midnight to about 4 a.m. I'm a night person.
See, when I was young, I would stay up and watch the late shows and everything, like Letterman and everything. But now 10, 11 o'clock is Betty time. So
yeah. Yeah, I get that. I'm kind of the same way with you, Robin. If I wasn't on here talking to friends so often, I'd watch a lot more movies than I do. I have stacks and stacks of movies I need to watch, but oh well, I watch something I've seen 100 times before.
I'm always watching.
What I've been doing lately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, YouTube exactly.
I finally whittled down my to watch pile. Like it's only like yay big now.
Wow. You're a lot better at it than I am.
It took years to whittle it down to that.
Yeah, I'm getting to where, like, do I really need to upgrade that? I just got the Blu-ray like a year ago. I haven't even opened it. Do I need the 4K? And I think this may be the last hurrah for physical media, so I'm trying to support it as much as I can and, collect as much as I can. Just so we'll have that option, because I don't know about you guys, but, I've had the internet go out for a day or two, I have to get the repair people out here to figure out what's going on. And, we're sitting over here with our hands in our pockets trying to figure out what are we going to do, and, hey, I got movies. So.
Isn't that crazy? We're so dependent on it. We're just like, what do we do now? Well, we could go outside.
Right. Ooh, what's that like? Gross.
What?
Oh. No.
Yeah. Kids these days, man.
Are you
They'll
guys
never
looking?
understand.
No. Are you looking forward to Halloween Kills? Or no, Halloween Ends?
No, but I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to it. Sorry, I don't want to put a damper on it.
I've seen the original Halloween and H2O. It was the only ones I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Saw H2O in the theater and watched Halloween about 5 or 6 years ago. So I'm a big Carpenter fan, so that's one guy I kind of discovered through all this was Carpenter, and I love some of his stuff.
I think the chat's going to get mad at you in a minute, Rob.
What I do.
All the stuff you've missed.
Oh, God. Yeah, like I said, I could blow your mind.
Yeah,
Trying to think of something. I don't know.
Some folks I know with their finger to the pulse doesn't sound good. I'll just say that. You look at Walmart. That was one of the biggest distributors of physical media, or biggest retailers of physical media. They're pretty much limited to at least ours are like one end cap. Just like not a section anymore. It's just like this came out this week. There's like 10 copies. Buy it or don't. And Best Buy, our Best Buys are the same way. And heck, we've lost most of our other, Sam Goody's, Suncoast. All the other folks are pretty much gone. It's all online stuff for me because I can't find it in stores now. Unfortunately.
I think physical media is still going to be around for a while, but not in stores. I mean, Walmart, it's funny. Dead Pit had put out a tweet asking if people had noticed less 4Ks and less Blu-rays in their store and more DVDs. And I was like, yeah, as a matter of fact, our local Walmarts have really added more DVDs. But Best Buy has really, taken away from their selection, and same with Target. So it may just all be online pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something about being in the South or what, but DVD is king here still. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I've talked to some folks that Redbox have shut down a lot of their little. I think they're like little franchise thing. You just invest in a Redbox, and there it is. I think they've shut down a lot of those, but around here, there's still areas that don't have good internet connection. They're still on satellite internet that is not great, so they still rent Redbox. So I think that may stick around a little longer than people think. But
I do think it's surprising that more people didn't switch over to Blu-ray. It just seemed like something that the masses would have done, but they just stuck with DVD.
It's weird. It's such a jump in quality, in my opinion. Probably the biggest. VHS to DVD was huge. I would say DVD to Blu-ray is huge as well.
And people not making the jump to 4K, I understand that. Because
Sure.
there's not, yes, there are some beautiful 4K discs, but not enough for most people to make that jump.
Sure. Not to justify the price.
Mm-hmm.
But, a lot of Blu-rays, sometimes the DVD costs more
than
the Blu-ray, and they'll still get the DVD. But it's, I back when my father-in-law was still alive, I bought him Blu-ray player way back when, and he would buy DVDs to play on it. I'm like, why? Why are you doing that? But yeah, I don't know. As people never change sometimes.
Well, I just think that a lot of people just never were really educated on HD in general. I mean, it's simple as 1080p.
Right.
I remember when I was getting into retro gaming, I come to realize I really didn't understand it, and it wasn't the easiest thing to educate yourself on, because by that time everybody else was so educated and had moved on. It was a little hard, and I could see if most people don't care. They just want to see the movie. So I totally get it, because like I said, it took some digging for me to get up to speed on it.
I know a lot of the younger generation, like they'll watch movies on their phone, so they don't really care about quality at all. I'm a real stickler when it comes to quality. I like having the best it's going to look, in my opinion, or for me. Just because if I have the option available, why not? Because I don't know. I remember back when I got like cable television with HD. It was like 720p, right? I was I loved it. I was like, look, this is the regular and this is this, and I would show people, and I'd have some people who are like, I can't tell a difference. I'm like, well, you need to go see an eye doctor or something, because you're missing out.
That was my husband. I would show him things all the time. I'm like, look, isn't this beautiful? He's like, I don't get it. It looks the same to me. I'm like, oh, come on.
The difference between a movie geek and the average bear.
Well, it was was it Planet Earth, the like Sigourney Weaver nature stuff was really big around that time.
I'll have it on HD DVD.
But that's what I would show people. It was just like just gorgeous, pictures of stuff that you've never seen the quality. Like you can see the hairs on that ant or whatever, Just I don't know. I was all about it.
Well, that comment that you just had up from Dan. Yeah, you know what? I totally wasn't even thinking about that. That's really interesting.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense that that it's still that way today. But, yeah, that's interesting. Around the mortgage crisis, I would imagine.
Now, have you guys gone to the movie theater a lot this year?
I try to, just again to support that, because I love that. I love the experience, but it's becoming hard for me because there's not a lot of stuff that I really care about watching in the theater. Like, look, we're in July right now. Like, I've heard the new Thor movie's not great. I'm still going to go watch it just because I want to go to the theater. And I think that the Jordan Peele movie, Nope, comes out this week, which I'll definitely be going to see that. But, man, it's just, when you think about, like, 20 years ago, this was prime time. This was when the movie, the big ones came out, was right now. And really kind of crickets out there. So, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's crazy how it's changed. It really has, because the last couple weeks, especially summertime with the kids, and, we're always like, well, what's at the movie theater? Mm-hmm. Nothing. I mean, we've seen what we want to see, and there's, nothing really coming out that's very exciting.
No, I've been twice, which for me is pretty good amount, but I guess they just held back because they weren't 100% sure all those months ago how it was going to be. Mm. But yeah, they're just the summer blockbusters kind of, if you're not head over heels for Marvel stuff, there's not a lot going on.
How do you guys feel about that? Are you a little burned out on Star Wars and Marvel superhero movies?
I was burnt out on Marvel before the end of the last phase. I can still get some joy out of them. The Spider-Man, I even watched on streaming the Doctor Strange movie, and that kind of had some okay, but
That's the
yeah,
newer one, right?
yeah,
The
yes,
newer.
it is. Where Sam Raimi directed, and you can tell it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he kind of got his Evil Dead on. His Evil Dead. I'm gonna say the wrong one on a little
Yeah,
bit,
you're right.
but but I didn't care. In Star Wars, oh they wow. Well, I can't. I'm not gonna say anything profound on that, but they really blew that one.
Yeah, I'm done. I was done at Endgame. I just,
Mm-hmm.
as far as the Marvel movies go, we saw Spider-Man, but
Mhm.
I just don't care. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
about
Mhm.
anything coming out except maybe Guardians.
Oh, okay.
Um,
See,
and then Star Wars breaks my heart. What
me
they've
too.
done to that.
Me too.
Yeah, I
And
never
I'm not
was.
going to say New Hope because in my mind it's Star Wars. I'm not going to whatever timeline that Lucas changed it to. I'm going to forget about everything else. Give me those original 3 movies and I'm good. But yeah, I really just think it's oversaturation as far as Star Wars goes. They just like,
You know.
And
I mean,
quality.
Mhm.
people like it, but I never finished The Mandalorian. I just did not get into it. I never watched Boba Fett. I've heard mixed things about Obi-Wan, but I don't know. I like Ewan McGregor, like Hayden Christensen. Okay, I didn't have a problem with him as Anakin, like a lot of people did, but I just don't care. I'll go watch something else that I care about.
Mandalorian, like season 1, I really enjoyed. I thought season 1 was really good. Season 2 was okay. Um, Boba Fett was unbelievably. I can't even believe what they did with that. And then Obi-Wan, the show itself was not great, but someone did a movie cut, a 2.5 hour movie cut of it, and that really helped it out. But no thanks. I'm done.
But I mean, remember, everyone was like, a Boba Fett movie would be awesome. It was, but here we are. What, 40 years later, or however long it's been? Probably longer than that. Now, 40 years is probably about right. But like, oh man, I'm not even really gonna invest the time into it. At this point, I'm not gonna live forever, so I'll watch stuff I care about.
And isn't it nuts? Like, remember when we were all so excited growing up? Oh my god, a new Star Wars movie, or whatever the franchise was. But now it's too much. It's too much.
It's just really sad. I was a big comic book kid. Loved comic books as a kid, and that's what I wanted was movies like this. It's just, I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's when I started my channel. I was loving the comic book movies coming. The Green Lantern movie. It was awesome that all these new characters are getting
Yeah,
movies, and yeah, who gives a crap now? Who
Yeah.
cares?
yeah.
And
I thought it
Marvel's
was
trying.
funny in the Deadpool movies how he references Green Lantern a good bit in there. Ryan Reynolds. That's pretty funny stuff.
I enjoyed that in the theater. I saw it in 3D
Mhm.
opening day. Went by myself because the wife was home with the kids, and whew, well, no, I take that back. I enjoyed it. Bought the pre-ordered the Blu-ray, 3D Blu-ray. Still don't have a 3D, excuse me, player or anything. And I was like, why does everybody hate this movie? And yeah, it doesn't hold up to multiple watches. Not at all. But I liked it in the theater. Sue me. Excuse me.
3D Blu-ray, I don't think is really a thing anymore. Not, I think it's still big in Japan, from what I understand, but not in America.
Well, you can't get the TVs anymore, so
Do they
I
not
guess
make 3D TVs anymore?
I think they discontinue those in 2016.
Oh,
Is
it's
that
been
right?
that long.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've always kind of wanted one, and you could still get them for a year or two on Amazon, but they were really high, and they've just kind of went the way of the dodo, and you just can't find them.
I had one for a short period of time, and I forget what happened. I think my TV got struck by lightning or something, and I brought it back. It was still under warranty, and got a non 3D television. But I had a Joe Dante's The Hole, like a UK edition of the Blu-ray, which was on 3D. So I watched that with the glasses, and I just was not impressed. Like I watched like 2 or 3 other movies, and just it's like, nah, this is stupid. You know, it's not worth me getting a headache for this, quality, 3D.
So did yours have like the shutter glasses that you plugged in and everything? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that I plugged them in. Was there 2 different kinds of glasses?
Well, they had the ones that would work with like the movie theater 3D glasses, just the plastic ones. That's the one I always wanted. I think LG was one of the big makers of that one. But yeah, they had the kind that you plugged in and had the shutter, and then they had just the ones that would work with just your basic movie 3D.
When they released the Friday the 13th box set, I think part 3 you can watch on the 3D television. There's a
Christian spoke to that. He has a 3D television.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Hopefully it's, I don't know, man. The old red and blue stuff worked good for me. I don't know.
Did me too. Everybody says they didn't get a 3D effect out of it. I did. That yo-yo looked like it was coming right at me in part 3.
Even when that was big in theaters, like My Bloody Valentine 3D was one of the big ones I remember, and Piranha 3D was a big one. Like those always gave me a headache. I wear contacts and glasses and stuff. I don't know if that has something to do with it, but always gave me a headache.
Do you guys remember back in the day? It had to be mid-'80s maybe, when Creature from the Black Lagoon was going to be aired, and so you had to go, like for us, we had to go to 7-Eleven to pick up 3D glasses. You remember that?
There was a few they did like that. They ran the promote. It would always be like tied in with like Doritos or something like that, where you buy a pack of whatever and you get the glasses with it.
I remember a Sports Illustrated. I think it was the swimsuit issue that had 3D glasses and was in 3D. So that was
Actual issue was in 3D?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
But I remember promotions like that. I don't remember specifics, but I remember things like that.
Yeah, fun stuff. You don't see, like, you ever get a box of cereal now? So depressing.
Well,
like, man, there used to be stuff in here. We didn't have to send off for it. And
oh man, do you remember does anybody remember the Fruity Pebbles when they had the dinosaur coins? See, no one remembers that. I still have those in a box of coins. Somewhere
was it like, what? Could you see the coin like through the box? Was it like clear? I do remember those.
I don't think so. And I mean, I could be wrong.
I do remember those though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I still have a whole bunch of those things. So that's my retirement fund, I guess.
Hey, I'm sure there were something.
I don't know. They were, but see, I was kind of into coins back then. Getting foreign money and stuff, I always thought was cool. And then those came out. But yeah, I really missed. And then Honeycombs a long time ago had bicycle license plates. Does anybody remember that?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And my older cousin, had those nailed on his shop wall, all the different states, and it just seemed like the coolest thing.
That is cool.
Yeah, I miss those days.
Speaking of the foreign coins you mentioned, you guys remember McDonald's?
Yes.
Did that?
Yes.
I think it was with their nuggets. They would have like special sauces from different countries. Like it'd be like a spicy Asian sauce or something.
I just remember they did coins.
You get a coin with it. Yeah.
Not till you just said that, but yep. And I got those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's used to be fun where they would do the movie tie-ins.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to do birthday parties at McDonald's, like, and it was cool, you know.
Mm,
You would never do that now. I mean, heck, I don't even know if you can even go inside of a McDonald's, much less have a bunch of
Yeah, I had my
little
sixth
super
grade
spreaders
birthday
in there.
party.
You know what? They should just open up all the playlands again. Let all the kids go in there. We all did it. We got all sorts of cooties in there.
That's the sewer rat theory, you know. You put them in there, and they're going to get sick, but they're going to build up their immunity, their immune system to where they can fight off stuff in the future. You know, you may eat some dirt. You know, you may get sick. Someone's going to pee in the balls. You know, pee.
Sure.
Whoa.
That's just how it is.
That's the chance you take.
Well, someone mentioned, is there any movies coming up that you guys are looking forward to in the theater?
I'm looking forward to Nope.
Mm-hmm.
That one I still want to see it. At the second trailer, I was like, but I still want to see it. Halloween Ends.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I don't even know what else is coming out. What else is
I don't either.
That's what I was thinking too. I'm like,
No
I
clue.
haven't even. See if I can pull up a list here in a minute. I mean, everything, like you mentioned earlier, is going streaming. So,
and it's so hard to find stuff on streaming because there's so much. So everything has to be word of mouth. Because there may be like a really kick-ass movie out there, but it's because it's buried every day. Someone just has to like say, "Oh, hey, did you check this out?"
it's just so much stuff out there. I mean, it's such a first world problem, right? I've got too much stuff to watch, But it's like, I mean, how often do you hear people say, I spent 2 hours looking for something to watch on Netflix, and it was already so late, I just turned it off, went to sleep. That's why I just wind up watching the same thing over and over again. I'm like, well, I know I like this, so I'll just watch this again. Like, I think I follow both of you on Letterboxd, and on there I was going through and looking. I was like, man, I'm just watching the same thing over and over again. I lost my mind over here. I was trying to see if I could pull up a list of stuff coming out.
Maverick was really good. We loved Maverick.
Oh, that was awesome. I wasn't the biggest fan of the first Top Gun, and I loved Maverick. So good.
I mean, that's the first time.
I'm the same way.
That's the first time we had been in a theater for a long time, and people were cheering, and it was really fun.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's one I'd put off for so long because I didn't like the original movie. I always thought it was kind of overrated. Yeah, you got the Kenny Loggins. That's cool. Never really resonated with me that much. Love Tony Scott, but never really cared for that movie in particular. But I did really enjoy Maverick, and I did not expect to. I had very low expectations.
Yeah,
great movie.
Everybody on Facebook was just raving about it, so my wife was like wanted to go, so we all went, and
I was shocked.
Had a great. Yeah, I was too. I was like, this is amazing
that it did so well, because I think it's got maybe the longest in between the time when a sequel came out. It's somewhere in that, because I think Blade Runner is just a little bit shy of Top Gun.
Because Top Gun's 30 years? When did it come out? 86?
Somewhere in there.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone, even people that hate movies like that, like my buddy Lauren from Region Free, he's notorious for hating everything. And I was like, man, you like this Top Gun movie? I was like, all right, I guess I'll have to go watch it now. I give Lauren a hard time. He's kind of That's kind of the role he plays over on Region Free.
Yeah, I was talking to a coworker in a different department. We were having a 4th of July gathering, and found out he was a horror fan, and so I actually could, mingle with him a little bit, and I felt so sophisticated saying, are you, do you read? And he's like, yeah, and oh, I know this author, Lauren Dixon, Bleak December. You've got to check him out. And this guy was from New Jersey originally too, so I said, and he's from, your area, and yeah, made me feel kind of like a, aristocrat or whatever. But,
Did you tip your hat afterwards?
I did. I can't even think of something to say to joke. I'm so, unrefined.
Got your pinky out. But yeah, so we got the new Avatar movies coming up.
Oh yeah.
You
Never
guys
seen the
feel about
first.
that?
I wonder how those are going to do. I'm so curious.
Man, they've spent so much money on those movies. There's no way they're going to be successful. No way. I mean,
Are
guess
people
they're
gonna
banking
care?
on China? I guess
Yeah.
making the money.
I just
Sorry,
don't know
go
if
ahead.
people are. I just don't know if people are going to care anymore.
I didn't care about the first one, so
I didn't either. I have a bad habit. If I hear way too many people raving about a movie, I don't know. I get this weird, I don't know, disdain for the movie. I don't want to see it. If I hear too much, fanfare about it.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of those movies that everybody was talking about when it came out.
yeah. That was another big 3D movie, I think.
I think that was the one that really might not have been the first one, but it was the one that really launched the popularity this last time.
So Avatar 2 is this year?
I'm just looking at an upcoming movies list. I don't know I don't even know if it has a release date yet. But
Okay.
where is it?
Let's see.
Avatar: The Way of the Water. It says 2022. Of course, that may change.
How many did he film? Do you guys know?
I think he filmed 2 back to back, so I think they're going to be released relatively close to each other. I don't know. So, pulled the old Matrix Revolution.
I didn't see the new Matrix. Did you guys see it?
Oh gosh, the new one. It
I
is
did not.
awful. I like the first one. I like the second one better than most people. Didn't love the third one. The fourth one is trash. It's absolute trash. It's unbelievable that they signed off on it. That's how bad it is, in my opinion. It's bad. It is, and the ending is ridiculous. So,
See,
yeah,
I don't think the Wachowskis really wanted to do that movie. I think they were basically like, either you do it or we'll find someone else to do
yeah.
it.
And I believe it was only one of them that did it. One of the it was Wachowski singular, Wachowski or whatever. But yeah, only one of the individuals did it.
Yeah, Bullet Train comes out in August. I know my boys are excited about that. That's the Brad Pitt movie.
Okay, I've heard good.
I don't think I'm
I've
familiar.
heard a little buzz on that one. I think that could be like the sleeper hit coming up.
I like Brad Pitt. I'll definitely check that out.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, Pinocchio with Tom Hanks.
Did you say
Salem's
Pinocchio?
Yeah, Pinocchio. I think it's a live action with Tom Hanks.
Isn't that going right to streaming? I believe.
Is it? I don't know.
I think I heard that.
Yes, you know what? It says Disney Plus.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw Lion King, which I know a lot of people like, but it was one of the first movies I saw where the theaters with the recliners.
Oh yeah.
99 Not even.
Yep. Me too.
I'd seen the movie before. I mean, even if you loved it, I saw that movie in 94, 95, whenever. So it was brutal.
That's how I saw the second Pacific Rim movie was in one of those. I was like, oh, this is nice. And I missed
So you did.
75% of the movie, you know.
I saw the first one and
out.
liked it, but never saw the second. You say it's not any good?
Well, I didn't see a whole lot of it. I've heard
didn't
people
think
say
so.
it's not good.
I think I may have that on Blu-ray. I need to check that out.
There's a Salem's Lot movie, Hocus Pocus 2.
I guess you guys are Hocus Pocus fans.
I've never seen it.
I'm not.
Okay, there's so much love for that movie, and I remember could barely watch it back in the day. I don't understand all the love, but it has a huge following.
Yeah, my wife loves it, so I own it on a bunch of different formats. I got her the 4K recently,
Okay.
so we can watch that this year. They can watch it. I probably won't watch it with them. Went to Disney World, you know, a few years ago. They had a big production of that there, and we even got the thing. This was a year from. It'll be 2 years from this coming up Halloween. I don't know if you guys even heard about this, but it was this. It was like a Hocus Pocus thing, but it was all over like Zoom calls, which I wasn't even aware of that when we got this thing. And it was just so, you know, during the lockdown. Everyone was over, you know, Zoom, and it was just all so political and on the nose, and just
Where was
really
this?
weird.
Where'd you say they showed this?
It was, you had to get it from a streaming service. I mean, you had to like pay for it, like no, not even on demand. Like it was like they played it one time. You had to pay to watch it one time. It was like, I remember Martin Short was in there. And the sisters, you know, weren't even in it until like maybe the last 5 minutes. They just did like a quick little, and they weren't in the same room either.
Right.
Just a quick little song, and it was over. I was like, man, we just spent like $25 on that.
Oh,
God. I'll tell you one. Did you see the Parks and Rec reunion that they did like that? That was well done. They did one during the pandemic, and you know those actors have become quite political and whatnot, and this show was shockingly apolitical. You know, even the show in its prime kind of had a political slant, but it wasn't, you know, wasn't obnoxious. But this was very well done and very funny. I don't know where you can find it. I don't believe it's on Peacock. It was on, they debuted it. You could watch it on YouTube for a while. But as far as I know now, I don't know where you can find it now, but it was well done, very well done. And it was all done over, you know, Zoom and Skype or whatever. But I'm a big Parks and Rec mark anyway, so.
Yeah, I am too. Love all that stuff. We got enough politics in our real life. You know, we don't need that to. You know, we're supposed to be having fun here. Let's leave that. Let's check that at the door and.
Yeah.
Yeah, Disney, especially like Slasher Home Video said right there, it's too much, too much. I don't care what
things about.
I don't care which way you lean politically. Like that's everyone's business. Right. It's all good.
Right.
Just I don't want to see it in movies and TV.
Exactly.
I agree.
Like I watched on YouTube. There was a sex comedy in the early '80s called Joysticks.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys ever seen that?
I remember. I heard of it. Yeah.
Wonderfully terrible. I mean, just brilliantly awful, and so politically incorrect. And then you had like Pac-Man. Namco, I believe, had actually licensed Pac-Man and Super Pac-Man to be in this movie that, you know, was just your basic TNA, you know, garbage fest. So it just, I love that time. I love the time when you could get away with that and no one cared, you know. So
yeah.
good.
We recently did Private Resort, did a commentary for Private Resort. That's Johnny Depp's first feature film. I mean, lead or starring role in a feature film. Obviously, he was in Nightmare on Elm Street before that, and it's just like you definitely can't do that movie now, obviously. But I mean, it's just I don't know. I just miss that kind of freedom.
You know what was a little refreshing was that new Beavis and Butthead movie. Have you guys watched that yet?
No, but
I've heard good things.
I've heard
really
great
good things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with everything that's kind of bombarded us, this was a little refreshing.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Really good to hear.
Need to watch that. I need to watch the new South Park thing, whatever that's called. That new deal they did on. I lose track. Some streaming service has it.
I believe Paramount Plus is what does the South Park stuff. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't even know exactly what you're talking about, but I know that South Park's involved with Paramount Plus.
Well, they
Remember the whole Tom Cruise Scientology controversy way back when?
Yeah. Well, they did the it was like the COVID and then post COVID little. I think it was like hour-long things they did last year. And those are really good. I was surprised at how much I like those.
I haven't watched South Park in years.
Yeah, I hadn't either, and I was really impressed with all that stuff, though.
Cool.
Community. I didn't even know they were in talks of doing a movie.
I didn't either. I'd not heard anything about it.
That's another one that just kind of ended with a fizzle, unfortunately.
Does
But
Chevy?
that show was. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that show was always kind of teetering on being canceled every season. So.
No, I was just going to say, does Chevy Chase come back for that, or are they done with him?
I would imagine not.
Yeah. There's one part I just cracked up in that Beavis and Butthead. Oh my goodness! It's where they learn about. Well, I won't spoil it.
I think I know what you're going to say.
They learn about something, and they just took advantage of it. And it was so funny.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I heard about that. Oh, privilege, something about
Yes.
privilege. Yes.
Excuse
That
me,
sounds
white
awesome.
privilege. Pardon me.
Yes. On that, something kind of similar to that. Did you like the Bill? I haven't seen it. The Bill and Ted deal, was that any good?
I didn't like the new one. No.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't bother.
Yeah, I didn't either. I liked the second one a whole lot back in the day, but I didn't. I was too afraid what was going to happen in this third one.
I mean, I just get to thinking, like, how is that going to work in this environment? And sometimes people do it. They surprise me and pull it off, but more times than not, I'm usually right about that stuff. So I kind of just avoid it unless people tell me otherwise.
Like Alex Winter, I thought was okay in his role, but Keanu Reeves, I'm not like whether he's too old to play the role now or it didn't work with him back in that role.
And I love Keanu.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, I mean, whoa, dude, whoa. It's like that doesn't really apply now, right? And that was kind of a time capsule thing.
Oh, I didn't know Beavis and Butthead was coming back.
Oh, really? Wow. They came back for a few episodes, like maybe like 8 episodes, like a decade ago. I don't know if you remember that. It may have gone to MTV. I'm not sure. That was not bad. I don't remember where I even saw those. I know a friend of mine told me about it and made me watch it. It was better than I expected.
Mm.
Mike Judge is always a funny guy.
King of the Hill's great.
Now, didn't Mike Judge? He did Extraction. He directed Extraction. That was a bit disappointing. I'd always heard it was like a spiritual successor to the Office Space. But I didn't. I watched that about a year ago. Wasn't crazy about that movie. How about, did you guys like it?
I
I'd
saw
agree
it.
with you.
I don't remember much about it.
Well, there wasn't one character I liked at all in that movie. Every character was just a douche, and yeah, I don't know. And sometimes that can work, but I was really disappointed in that one.
I mean, I think unfortunately, we're getting pretty close to Idiocracy. Quite a few years before we're supposed
Speaking
to.
of a movie I need to see,
I haven't
Oh
seen
man,
it either.
that gets
oh
referenced
gosh,
all
you
the
guys need to get
time,
on that.
and I love Terry Crews, and so I mean I've got to watch this. That's got to be on my very very need to watch list, very high on it.
Yeah, that's a very very fun one.
It's referenced all the time, by political commentators and everyone.
That's Luke Wilson, I believe, is that one, and Maya Rudolph.
Okay.
Yeah, all-star cast, great movie. I can quote that all day long.
Oh yeah, I gotta watch it. Watch along on Jaythestingray. Let's go.
Yeah. Those always seem to veer off into left field. I wouldn't recommend.
We will mention the title of the movie. We will say begin. And
you're not too far off.
You know what, Jay? I have to ask, why are there two Jaythestingray channels now? What happened? What kind of nefarious things happened on that first one?
Man, what was it? I got a strike on my channel. Basically, someone flagged my video for disturbing content. I think it was some sort of stuff that they didn't like, and it was justified. It was my fault. I went a little too hard on a certain lane, but I got a strike on my original channel, so I set that up just as a backup. And
cool.
I could just stream to it as well as Twitch. So just in case, something happens, that's always there. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm at the point where I don't really care anymore. Because I'm not monetized. I don't really care about any of that. I'm just here to have a good time. That's all I really care about. I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. So, yeah.
Rob, I have a question for Rob. Do you have a complete run of any video game systems games?
No, the whole thing, when I started with the Sega Saturn, that kind of became my goal, and there were like roughly 255 of them. I got to about 196, 97. And by that point, I discovered so much other stuff I wanted to collect, and I was sitting here spending all this money on games I didn't give a crap about. I stopped, but that's the closest. But no, I've never done that. I'm as Jay probably knows, I'm all over the map. I mean, I have every mainstream system, generations 2 through 7. And I'm all over the place. But the closest I ever came was a Saturn, and that was the goal in the beginning. And luckily, I did pick up most of the high value targets. But no, I've never done that. I love it. I respect people who do that. I think it's cool. But no, I never did a whole run of anything.
You have a very impressive collection.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Regardless, it's just. I can imagine, when you're trying to collect all of the, run.
Yeah.
It gets pretty pricey around there.
Oh yeah, and like I said, just buying stuff that I was never going to play, didn't want, when there were all these other games I was discovering I wanted to try. And back then, you didn't try to emulate. You just said, well, I'll spend $20-$25 and give this game a try. Now, that's what we was talking about earlier. Now you don't have that luxury. Now you almost have to try before you buy, because you're spending a minimum $50-$60 if you're lucky.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then what if your console, breaks or, whatever? You're like, you got to find someone to repair that, or I don't know if you do that, but.
Well, I tell you, the weird thing is when I was started, consoles used to not be worth anything. The games were, even when the games were relatively pricey. Consoles were not expensive, any of them. But, anything from Atari, everything was cheap, and I always kind of liked hardware, so I picked up. God, I probably have 7 Saturn, something like that, and most
Wow.
most consoles I had, and now those are pricey, but no, back then I have most retro consoles. I have at least 3. And I'm glad I do because I don't know anybody that does those repairs. There is a website that I may send a ColecoVision to get repaired because I only have one of those and it doesn't work. But no, I've just been fortunate. Like I said, back then they were, I joke, they were throwing the things at you. It seemed like, I mean, you were finding them for $5, and those were the days. I mean, I remember somebody had given me a bunch of Super Nintendo games and the machine didn't work. And so I just went out to, imagine this now, or if you were into games, I just went out and said, okay, I'm going to go find one, and went to 3 pawn shops, found one for $5. And so that's unheard of now. You would never be able to say, okay, I'm just going to go find one in person dirt cheap. But back then you could do that. So, but yeah,
I can't believe
hardware.
you found so many. That's amazing.
Oh, well, and I mean, in this part of the country, it seems like out west is where everything is, closer to Robin's neck of the woods is that's where people find all those treasures, those prototypes, because of course all the companies their American headquarters were out there in California. But no, yeah, you could find them, and I guess because everybody was just dumping their kids' stuff, and they were just giving that stuff away. Nintendo 64s, literally, if I'd have bought every one I'd seen at a reasonable price, I probably have. I mean, I have several, and I probably would have 50 to 100 if I bought every one I ever saw. Because when I started, that was the machine that everybody was dumping, and they were everywhere.
Such a popular console.
Yeah, it's I never liked it, and now there's a lot of hate, a lot of backlash toward it all of a sudden. It's never been my thing, but it is popular, and it is great for wrestling games. That was kind of its mass appeal, was wrestling games.
Yeah. I know people that grew up with that console love it, but I was never
Absolutely.
really into it was very gimmicky to me. And of course I love GoldenEye. I love games that came out on it, but a lot of the stuff just wasn't for me.
I owned the 50% of one of those. Me and a friend were watching wrestling, and they were showing that NWO World Tour or something like that. And me and my buddy just said, "You want to go in halves?" And so we bought 50% of that console, and he kept it at his house, and then eventually gave it to me. So, but yeah, I owned 50% of a Nintendo 64.
You still owe him half.
I owned a Nintendo 32, I guess.
Remember when bit was a thing? Oh, wait, how many bit is it?
No one really knew what it meant, but oh yeah.
My brother got a Atari Jaguar, short-lived little console, and it was billed as the first 64-bit console, but from what I understand, it was 2 32-bit chips in there, so it wasn't technically 64-bit console.
Right. So. And it had a chip in there that was the same as the Genesis. That when the reason a lot of the games are so terrible, or I should say, are so unimpressive, are because they could program. They looked at it and said, "Well, I know that chip," so they would just program them to Sega Genesis standards, because that's the chip they understood. They didn't understand the architecture of the Jaguar because it was really odd. I'm no techie expert, but something about how it had this special chip that was supposed to handle these processes, and no one bothered to figure out how to use it. The Saturn kind of had that problem too. The Saturn had 2 32-bit processors, and not many tried to utilize both of them. They would just use one of them. So,
Was it the Saturn that was the first one that would connect to the internet?
um, I want to say yes. I mean, they did have a modem. Definitely the first mainstream one.
Okay.
Somebody's going to throw up something
Sure.
I've
Yeah.
never heard of, But as far as mainstream, absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
I didn't do it at the time, but I have a couple of modems. I have a console that came with the modem, boxed, but I'm missing the keyboard. It didn't come with the keyboard. So, but yeah, I can't think of what it was called. But yeah, they were the first mainstream console to try that.
Unfortunate. What happened to them?
Netlink, that's what it was called.
Ah.
We went into GameStop for the first time in years, and it's probably 80% like Funkos and toys and stuff like that. It was really, I was like, oh my goodness, there's hardly any games left in here.
Yep. Digital's taking over that space too.
Do most people buy their games on digital, or is there still like a hardcore presence that buys the games, the physical game?
It's probably it's very similar to movies, and with the big thing is the Xbox Game Pass, which is kind of the Netflix type model. And like me, Mr. Physical Game Media, for my son, the only choice was to get him an Xbox with Game Pass, so that I'm not shelling out $60 every time he finds a game, or $70 every time he finds a game he wants. So this generation of young people, it's all digital. That's all they care about. But it's a lot like movies. There are a lot of parallels between the two. Yeah, I'd say the young people, digital, they don't know any different. They stream their movies, they stream their music, they stream their games. But then you have idiots like me that want everything physical. So
Yeah.
and that's why now there's companies kind of like you have Shout Factory and Vinegar Syndrome that are wetting your guys' whistles with all these obscure titles. Well, the game world has limited run games and strictly limited games, and they'll release the digital only games physically in limited runs and get us all excited. And but with the prices as they are, that's kind of your best options right now. I mean, it's almost the way to go. Those are the only things you can afford to collect. But it's very similar to that was what was kind of cool, is when I went from games to movies. And then when I went back, I mean, of course my game shaped my viewing of movies. And then when I went back, my collecting of movies, I started worrying about game studios, game directors, because of course with movies, you kind of get there. You inevitably, at first, I'm like, all I care about is who stars in the movie. But after a while, you have to start paying attention to the directors and maybe even the writers and the studios. And so it kind of, it melds nicely.
Mm.
Well, one thing that kind of sucks about that is, even if you do buy a physical disc, like, most of the time you still need an internet connection. Even if it's just a local, just a single player game, it still has to go update and still installs on your hard drive. So it's
the
kind of defeats
sixth
the whole purpose of
generation.
owning it.
The sixth generation was the last truly physical generation. You're absolutely right. With with the patches, they developed a way of doing business where here's the cutoff date. Send what you got to the factory. We'll finish the game in the meantime. So we'll have a update. We'll finish the game online when it's released. So
we'll fix it later.
Exactly.
Let's
roll
it out. Roll it out on the date we're going to roll it out, and then we'll fix it later.
Exactly. There's a Screen Rant does a hilarious at what if video game companies sold jigsaw puzzles. It's a must watch. It is so funny. He's like, oh yeah, we'll get those pieces to you, but isn't what you got there cool?
Well, I mean, you can kind of apply the same thing to Blu-rays and 4Ks, because
The
I can't tell
replacement
you how many.
discs.
Yeah, exactly. How many? They've screwed something up, or quality control wasn't there, whatever the reason. You know,
That just doesn't make as much sense, though. I mean, like you said, quality control. I mean, how it wouldn't seem like it would be too hard to test those things. It doesn't seem like it'd be as time intensive. So,
sounds like someone wasn't doing their job to me, but I don't
well,
know.
they're probably not giving them the resources to do them. Let's be honest. No one cares anymore. Like I said, get it out there and hope half the people don't contact us for a replacement.
Don't even watch it. Like, don't watch the movie to even know that there's something wrong with
Right.
it.
Exactly.
I mean, a lot of the stuff these people point out is stuff I would never see or notice. It's like
Right.
it'll be audio issues. It'll be, PQ stuff. And it's just like, I'm not going to see that. That's just not where my mind's at. But I'm
Right.
glad there are people that do because, they realize this stuff. And that's why I go to like Blu-ray.com and read a lot of stuff before I really invest money in a big title.
Mm-hmm.
But
It'll be fun to see what is announced from Scream Factory and Shout Factory this week because Comic-Con is this week. And
okay.
so they always announce their big like fall lineup.
Is there anything you're hoping for, or
I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they announce the rest of the Halloween 4Ks.
mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, Dead Pit has been saying Nightmare on Elm Street, a box set might be coming out.
I'd
or
like to see that.
Working on it at least.
Right.
So, I mean, it's possible we get that type of announcement. But those are always fun. They always announce a lot of stuff at Comic-Con.
Cool.
That would be great. I know a lot of fans of Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street that would love to have those movies on 4K. Which I've only got. I own the original Nightmare on Blu-ray, and then the rest I just have on the old DVD box set. Which I'd love to have a 4K box. I'm sure to be ridiculously expensive. Like the Child's Play movies are. You can get all three for like $120 on 4K. And I'm like, I can't do that.
But
60,
it's about
80
time.
bucks I could do,
It's about time for a Nightmare set. I mean, my goodness.
I agree. Because they didn't do a set on Blu-ray, right? Not that I'm aware of. They very well may have. I just
No, they did. It was in just one of those multi-pack sets, and I think like the first movie had one disc, but all the rest were combined on one disc. Like you had 2 and 3 on one, 5 on one. I think.
Mm-hmm. I guess we can go ahead and start wrapping up here. I didn't mean to keep you guys this late. Real quick, Robin, what's your top 5 favorite movies?
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Wow.
No pressure. We can kind of mess around a little bit.
Okay, so number 1 will always be Ghostbusters.
Okay.
That always have a place in my heart. So number 1's Ghostbusters. I mean, are we going to throw trilogies in there? Because like the 4, 5, and 6 of Star Wars is going to be in there. I love the Lord of the Rings movies, so that trilogy has to be in there. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, those are the main ones. I love those. The original Superman, I love.
The Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good.
And Halloween. Probably all Halloween's in there, the original.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to spring that on you there at the last minute. I'm just trying to get a feel for your taste here. I know I watch the kind of stuff you watch. I look at the stuff that you watch on the.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. I'll watch a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I am too. I recently, I'm not a big list guy. Everyone does top 10, whatever this, that, or what. I'm constantly changing stuff. You know, I watch this. Oh man, that's got to go on there. So I did a top 20 list, which I'm gonna do a video, but I'm gonna have a long disclaimer before it. Just that, you know, it's because it's like a lot of like some of my favorite directors didn't even make it in the top 20. You know, I'm like but anyway, that'll be coming up. You guys go check these two folks out. I'm gonna post their channel links in the description below. And anything you guys want to promote? Anything coming up on your channels?
No, I'll be lucky if I put another video out this year, to be honest.
Yeah, unfortunately, same here. I want to, but it never happens. But maybe this is the first time I've been on YouTube in a long time, so who knows? Maybe this
Probably
will
since
start.
the last time we did our thing.
Yeah, probably.
You say we didn't remedy
After that,
that.
I was done.
We got to remedy that. You guys are
yeah.
are great. We need more content.
Oh, I appreciate that.
But thanks everyone for watching. Thank you too for coming on. It's been a lot of fun. Been a long time in the making, and it's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.